आइए नाज़रीन, अब अफगानिस्तान पाकिस्तान की सरहद की बात करते हैं। 10 रोज गुजर गए हैं, सरहद का मामला लटका हुआ है। जुज़वी तौर पर खोलने की बात की गई इस सरहद को, और उन लोगों के लिए जो बॉर्डर के इर्द गिर्द फंसे हुए हैं। याद रहे कि ये सरहद उस वक्त बंद की गई थी जब पाकिस्तान के अंदर मुसलसल धमाके हुए, दहशतगर्दी की वाक़यात हुए, और बड़े दहशतगर्दी के वाक़यात के बाद ये कहा गया कि अफगानिस्तान के पार से ये लोग आ रहे हैं। हुकूमत वक्त का कहना है कि अफगानिस्तान की हुकूमत को मुर्द इल्ज़ाम नहीं ठहरा रहे, लेकिन ये वो जगह हैं जहां से लोग अंदर आ रहे हैं और पाकिस्तान में दहशतगर्दी कर रहे हैं। ताज़ा अहवाल क्या है? हमारे पास पाकिस्तान में अफगानिस्तान के सफ़ीर डॉक्टर हज़रत उमर ज़खीलवाल मौजूद हैं, उनसे हम बात करते हैं। अंग्रेजी में बात करनी होगी, इसकी ट्रांसक्रिप्शन आपको नजर आ रही होगी। मिस्टर एम्बेसडर, लेट मी आस्क यू बेसिक क्वेश्चन। द लिस्ट दैट पाकिस्तान gave to you of 76 terrorists, what is the progress on that list?
Well, my brother, it's a list that is given. There is, in Afghanistan, we are fighting Taliban, we are fighting a lot of other insurgent groups. There are areas that are not under control. Some of those people that is on the list that Pakistan has provided might as well be in Afghanistan, certainly in areas that's not under control. So it doesn't necessarily mean that anything that happens, let's say planned on the Afghan soil, then we have full access to it and full knowledge of it, and therefore if certain information is provided, of course we look into it, we take it seriously. We have taken actions even if Pakistan has not asked us in the past. Many of the TTP as well as other terrorist groups that provide a threat to Pakistan have in fact been eliminated in Afghanistan on our own. And therefore, again, on this one, should the information provided by Pakistan to us leaders to get them, we certainly will act upon that. But if that information is not accurate, if that information is from places where, of course, the access is difficult, then, of course, that understanding is should be there.
I only wanted to know that it's been nearly 10 days, and when a list is handed over, of course, you would have a very close look at it, as you yourself said. There will be numbers and names that you would have investigated. I just wanted to get a sense of how much of the list you think does carry substance from your point of view, and how much of it is still under review. Have you done this kind of an assessment? It's been 10 days already.
We have. We have. In Afghanistan, we are fighting terrorist networks together with our coalition international forces, the Americans in particular. They have their intelligence on the ground. We use their drones in support from the air and also on the ground. So it's not only the Afghan intelligence and security forces, but also the coalition forces together have looked into the list. A lot of that information has been checked in the past as provided by Pakistan and has not turned out into, again, the result that was needed. But in my meetings last week that I made to Kabul, such a meeting of our international forces as well as national forces, or the heads of the national forces, did take place, and the decision was made that once again, of course, based on the information provided by Pakistan, both Afghan forces with the support of international forces in the intelligence of foreign forces that is present on the ground will look into this seriously. But at the same time, I must remind you that coming back to Pakistan, I did bring a long list of, again, sanctuaries on Pakistan soil of terrorist networks that threaten continuously Afghanistan. Of course, on a daily basis and certainly on weekly basis, there are terrorist acts carried out on Afghan soil by individuals who are on Pakistani soil, from sanctuaries that have known addresses, by individuals that of course are known names and wander around on this territory, and therefore we submitted that list as well, which is
let me in that
list.
case, what is the progress on the list that you have submitted to Pakistan?
Not much. This is not the first time that we have. Well, that's precisely the irritants, that's precisely the grievances. It's not the first time that we provided. Of course, it was a resubmission of the information that had been submitted earlier, but not much has happened. In the past year, if you look back into your own media, any significant element of TTP or Daesh, if eliminated, has been eliminated in Afghanistan and eliminated by joint Afghan foreign forces. Not much could be said on this side with respect to elements that continuously threaten Afghanistan.
Mr. Ambassador, can you name leaders and groups that you believe are still in Pakistan? Can you name them? Can you give us a sense of that list?
Well, you can certainly the leader of the Taliban, Mullah Hibatullah, and then of course the famous Quetta Shura that has members. The reason they are called Quetta Shura because they are in Quetta. There's a Peshawar Shura. The reason they are called Peshawar Shura because they are in Peshawar. The Haqqani network, again, the head of the Haqqani network, some of the significant commanders are on Pakistani soil for sure.
But the latest reports that we were looking at from all the international agencies suggest that the Taliban do not need sanctuaries because they have made such an ingress into Afghanistan, much of the south, much of the east, even in some of the northern districts, they have made an ingress. So a force that has really been on the surge, why would it need sanctuaries across the border?
Well, the fact is, whether they don't need them on Pakistan or they need them or enough space maybe they have in Afghanistan that they could be on their soil, the truth is that a significant Taliban leadership is present on Pakistani soil. The example of Mullah Mansoor, Akhtar Mansoor, who was eliminated on Pakistani soil carrying...
But Mr. Ambassador, you know where he was coming from.
Pakistani passport.
You know where he was coming from. Where was he coming from?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he was.
So these groups do operate across the border, don't they?
He was on Pakistani soil, and the specific passport that was recovered from him, and that he traveled dozens of times out of Pakistan airports to another.
But you know, Mr. Ambassador, how passports and identity cards have been made. You know, the passports acquisition by Afghan nationals, by locals through fraudulent means. It's a major issue in Pakistan as well, and you're aware of that.
I certainly am aware of that, but a leader of the Taliban that with such a large network, so known, whose pictures are not like that of Mullah Omar, whose pictures are known to all intelligence agencies. So you certainly will be questioning the ability of intelligence forces on this ground that they did not know who Mullah Mansoor was.
But let me get this out of my head as well. I've been meaning to ask this question. Where exactly is Mullah Omar buried?
We don't know. But we are not talking about the past right now.
No, we are, because you know that if Mullah Omar is buried somewhere in Afghanistan, then it does raise the question of how come the person was there for a long time and got buried there as well. If your understanding of Mullah Omar's dead body being in Pakistan is what it is, then of course it raises a completely different set of questions. So I want to get a sense from you, where is his dead body?
We are talking, when I raised Akhtar Mansoor, he was way after Mullah Omar. It's a story of last year. It was a story of last year this time, when it was denied that Pakistan leadership was, Taliban leadership was not on Pakistani soil, and in fact it turned out to be the case.
Let's talk about opening of the Torkham gate and passage. I read your statement. I just wanted to get a sense now, where do you think are we on this? Because I was getting more positive signals from what you had posted on the Facebook. Are we anywhere near reopening of this border post or no?
I hope so. I hope that we are near. It should not have been closed, as I've said in the past, in the first place. These are crossing points that are heavily regulated. They have all the checking equipments and personnel on both sides. So there is, again, what you can do is, if there are fears that unwanted elements cross these, so you can increase the checking, but not can stop these crossing points for trade, transit, as well as for crossing of people. So it was uncalled for, and therefore I hope that it's reopened, because there was no justification, still is no justification as to why they were closed in the first place.
Are you getting any concrete signals from Pakistan that the gate might open anytime soon?
I hope so. We have discussion, continuous discussion, almost on daily basis. My expectation is, of course, I haven't checked back, but my conversation this morning was that it will be partially open today and gradually to a full opening. So I hope in the next 2 to 3 days or to 4 days maximum that it will fully open.
Unusual it was, Mr. Ambassador, for an ambassador to be called to GHQ, but even more unusual was for the ambassador to actually go to GHQ. I just wanted to ask you this. You could have said no, right?
First of all, I have not been summoned. Let me clarify this. I do have meetings with the GHQ. That doesn't mean summoning, and we do need to have, because Army certainly is involved with respect to matters, of course, of cross-border movements, as well as, of course, matters of Afghanistan, and therefore it's in the interest of my country to be engaging the military leadership and continuously do that. But my meeting doesn't mean that I'm summoned to the GHQ. In fact, after the Sewan attack, I was not even in Islamabad. I was in Kabul. So in fact, there was no summoning after Sewan attack. But after Lahore attack, I had a meeting with the GHQ, which was not a summoning.
Okay, towards the very end, each tragedy has a silver lining. Has anything good come out of the recent sparring between Kabul and Islamabad? Do you think that we are more focused on a few issues that we had neglected before?
We certainly are. I think the unfortunate, condemnable attacks that have happened on Pakistani side, as well as the condemnable attacks that continues to happen on the Afghan soil, and the tension that was created as a result, I hope that's used as an opportunity to understand each other better. At the end, there will be no other option but for both countries to feel safe, to work together, to find a common ground to combat terrorism, that there is no distinction between bad and good terrorists, but that all terrorism is bad for both countries, that security in Afghanistan is as important for Pakistan as it is for Afghanistan, and that security in Pakistan as is important for Afghanistan as for Pakistan. And with that sort of mindset, and with that sort of, dealing with this issue, we hope that we will find a common ground. The discussion and conversation I've had in the past weeks was constructive, was specific in the nature as to how we, let's say, move forward. We hope that we will find a path forward. I'm trying my best, and I'm sure on this side as well, there are efforts to find a way forward. I hope we do find that way forward, because that is the desire of the two people. At the end, we are indeed brotherly two brotherly countries, but certainly this relation has been mismanaged to this date, but that's moving forward that we are able to manage it better.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so very much for joining us and candidly talking to us on Naya Pakistan. Nazeen, Dr. Hazrat Umar Zakhilwal, Pakistan में अफगानिस्तान के सफीर हमसे बात कर रहे थे. Editorial comment बाकी है, stay tuned for that.